good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for the Future Forward Integrate to Accelerate, taking stock of your tech stack post-tax season. And I challenge you to say that 5 times.
That is a
fast.
tongue twister.
Yeah, so my name is Gary Dehart. I'm the publisher of Insightful Accountant and host of Future Forward and moderator of today's session. I want to say thank you to our panelists, Nayo Carter-Gray, Sharon Fuller, and Esther Freeberg-Karp for joining us and sharing their wisdom with us this morning. So Nayo is an EA, the founder of and CEO of First Step Accounting. She's a QuickBooks Advanced Certified Pro Advisor, among many other things. I think I'm supposed to be driving the slides here, aren't I?
I think you are.
You're not even sharing your screen.
Not even sharing my screen. No, we're already off the rails. Hold on a minute.
That's on the Zoom, the webinar bingo card. The presenter's not sharing their screen. So if you have your bingo cards ready, you can check that off the box.
There we go. Please do. Let me, now I'm all off. Let me see. That should be-
All right. We just killed 5 minutes of talking points, right? We'll just have to scale it down.
That's right.
Right.
All right. Let me.
But it wouldn't be the
blame
first
Esther.
session of the day if there wasn't some type of
Something.
technical
No.
difficulty, right?
No.
Yes, I'm going to blame Esther. Since
Okay.
she's
Go ahead.
here. That works. All right. All right. Let me see here. Now, let me get the right screen.
Bada boom, bada bang.
We'll be sharing the PDF. Can you guys see that?
Yes. we
Something's
do.
coming.
It's trying.
Trying.
Maybe he
Bizarre.
wants to share.
This makes no sense because I am running like gig speed now.
And you're frozen.
I don't know why I'm frozen. So, Esther, do you have, could you possibly pull yours up?
I can. All right, but I don't have I'm missing out on the Dex slide though.
Okay.
Uh-oh. You want me to do it?
Please, will you, Niall?
Okay.
Thanks.
I had it up and I just closed it. So one hot second and I'll get it right back up for you. In the meantime, maybe we should introduce ourselves.
Yay, look.
Something's happening. Ooh,
Yeah,
No.
Sharon did that apparently, not Sharon, sharing. Yeah.
I
my
didn't do
internet-
anything, guys. I'm just sitting here.
Good news is Zoom just told me that my internet is unstable.
Okay.
Excellent.
That's great,
All
right?
Bada boom,
Oh,
bada boom.
Now we see it.
There we go.
Yay.
Thanks, Niall.
All right. But I did try to prepare. I did literally was running cable yesterday to get gig speed down here to my computer. And what can you do?
It
Maybe-
happens. It happens.
Maybe hire a technician next time. All right. So anyway, so Nayo, she's an EA, founder and CEO of First Step Accounting, QuickBooks Advanced Certified Pro Advisor, among many other things. You'll see that on her slide. Sharon is the founder and CEO of Glass Wallet Ventures, managing partner of multiple firms and an ADP advisory board member, among other things. And Esther, everybody knows Esther, is the founder and CEO of EFK CompuBooks Inc. She's an advanced certified pro advisor in 3 countries. I did not realize that. I knew 2. She's a top 100 pro advisor since 2015 and an award winner of the top 100. She's a speaker and a trainer, and again, among other things. So I would also like to say thank you to our sponsor, Dext. Dext is driven by the unshakable belief that accountants and bookkeepers like you are the backbone of every successful business. And with an armory of the best digital tools at your disposal, you can be even more relevant, useful, and effective for your clients. So today, through Dext Prepare, Precision, and Commerce, these tools have become even more powerful and integrated to meet the demands of businesses right now and the challenges they face tomorrow. Combined, these tools provide more time and greater insight that will change the way you advise businesses for good. So a couple of housekeeping items and then a couple of polls, and we'll get into it. One, CPE is available for this session. Like with all the CPE sessions, you got to be here at least 50 minutes. We just burned 10 minutes for you. You must complete the poll questions. Don't sit here for 55 minutes and not do the polls and then reach out to me. I didn't get my CPE. Well, you got to complete the polls. And we will send you the certificate within about 48 hours. It may be 72 because we've got 2 days of this that we're doing, but you'll get it in the next 2 or 3 days. So if you have any questions, we ask you to put those in the chat or in the Q&A panel. And the link to the recording will be sent to you, and it can be found on our YouTube channel, which I will also put in the chat. And we'll also put the slide deck into the chat as well. It's not in there yet, but I will put it in there as this conversation starts moving along. So let's go ahead and get our first poll question posted.
That the poll question?
Yeah, well, I've got it.
Yeah, Gary's got to put up the thing that
Here
people
we
can
go.
actually select the answers.
It's coming. Here we go. All right. So first poll question, do you have a current tech stack? You got some options there. If one of them isn't the perfect answer, find the one that's close enough for you. Yes, but I'm looking to change it up. Yes, and I love it. I don't want to change. No, but I'm looking for ideas. No, and I don't have any idea where to start. We're going to go ahead and close this out in about 5 seconds. So go ahead and participate so we can log your answer. And I will share that as well. See what they said. Everyone should be able to see that. So it looks like 55% say yes, but I'm looking to change it up. 12% say yes, I love it, and I don't want to change anything. Thanks for showing up anyway. And then 22% said no, but I'm looking for ideas. You came to the right place. And then what's that? 10% say no, I don't have any idea where to start. You two came to the same place. So
That's amazing. Like a full 1/3 of the people don't have a tech stack. So it's amazing that they've come here. I think that's great.
yeah. Excellent. Very, very good. We appreciate you guys coming, and I assure you you're going to learn a lot. So we're going to kind of, as we go through this, we're going to be looking at best practices. We're going to be looking at how you can search out and find tech stack options, resources, recommendations. I hope that we can get to best practices in implementing a tech stack, and then also just the opinion of our panelists about what I would call the current uptake of tech stack. And it kind of, we may have just answered that with this poll question, but we'll, if we have time, we'll revisit that in a little bit. So let's slide on down to that next slide here, where we're talking about searching for apps. So ladies, if you wouldn't mind sharing with us just kind of your thoughts around searching for apps. I mean, you go to the app store, right? There are, last count, 15, 17, 18, I don't even know, 100 apps out there. How do we get through that cloud of confusion that just that brings in itself?
It's not just that, Gary, but when you decide, I know, like a few years ago, I had no app stack. I had nothing. And you start looking for stuff, and there's only 24 hours in a day, and you actually have to run your business too. So how do you know? You don't want to waste time. You don't want to burn all this time trying an app that's not going to work for you. So it's scary. It's really scary. So how do you know? A lot of what I've learned from other people, people that I respect, accounting professionals I admire, APIAs, people who've sort of been canaries in a coal mine that have tried this ahead of me, and I get to learn from their experience. Naya, what do you think?
So I do the same thing, but kind of a little different. So one of the things about looking for apps is that, like Gary mentioned, there are thousands and thousands of apps out here, and they come and go, right? So you really don't know what the heck to pick and choose because you have so many to choose from. So what I tell people to do is actually don't start with the app, start with the process that you're trying to automate or streamline. Once you have that outlined, then it's easy to really figure out what piece of this puzzle can I automate or streamline, and then look for an app that does that thing, right? So for example, you may have data collection issues, and you're like, I just need a central place to receive documents. So now you can narrow your search down to online documents storage, right? Versus having to look apps for accountants, like,
Right.
it really helps when you kind of narrow down what is it that you want this app to do, because it's so many apps out there. Like I mentioned, they come and go. It gets a little overwhelming. So it's just easier when you can focus on a feature, or and then don't just look for accountant only apps. There are tons of apps out there that are not just specific to the accounting space that do some amazing things. Good old Google searches will work wonders. So I like, when I'm looking for an app, I'm really looking for what is the pain point I'm trying to solve. So, and then app behind it.
Very good. Sharon, what do you say?
I have nothing valuable to add to this because you guys kind of touched on everything. So I'm just gonna go hang out in the pool. No, I completely agree. It's so overwhelming, and you really do have to decide, what am I looking for? What is that one thing, like Nao just said, the one point that I have just got to solve for that first. Once you solve for that, the rest of it just comes to play. Everything else is just a bonus feature. I like to handle like my low hanging fruit first. So if I'm looking for 6-7 different solutions, I'm like, which one's the easiest? Which one's a no-brainer? It's also when looking for any sort of apps, I want something that I can kind of self demo and play with on my own. If I have to put in information and somebody has to call me and give me a demo and walk me through it, I'm out immediately. So I want something that I can look at, read reviews on, what I say, phone a friend, and really kind of identify what's there. But one thing I kind of put this key point in the slides, so I guess I should put on or touch on it. I think one of the things that a lot of us gets into, and I'm guilty of this the most, is if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I was a beta user for Bill.com, for Expensify. I know I'm throwing out names, maybe I shouldn't. But they have there's a lot of new innovative apps out there, that are just amazing. And I'm like, I've been using this forever and it works. So I'm missing out on all these other amazing features that are available out there because I'm just like, I've been here, I've grown, I've scaled with it. And I think that's another thing that a lot of us may do. Like, we need to be open and perceptive to viewing other options that may be a better solution in the long run than what we're just already working on.
Or I can
Agreed.
challenge you to that one. Instead of always jumping the ship, talk to the software vendor that you've been a part of their community
That's what I do.
forever, and say, hey, I'm looking for this feature. Will you add it?
Yep. Exactly. I 100% agree with you. And I try to always do that. Sometimes it's just not in their roadmap, or sometimes they go public and it's not in their roadmap. And because we all know, like, especially in the accounting industry, we jump into these apps or this tech stack, and switching is so hard. It's almost impossible.
And by the way, Nio, you said something that you don't necessarily have to be laser focused on apps that are for accounting professionals. Totally agree with you. I was looking for a CRM system for the longest time. I eventually found one that is not necessarily for accountants. In fact, it's meant for more people that are in the creative realm. So absolutely, I agree with you. Don't just look for accounting related apps.
Yeah.
And people always want to know what you use. So what is your CRM?
My CRM is one called Dubsado, Dubsado, and I love it. And one nice thing about it is that their trial is not time limited. You can have up to three clients on there. So you can use it for as long as you like without paying for it to test out all the features, as long as you don't go beyond that 3 client limit.
Dubsado's great.
I like that.
Yeah.
You write that down.
I have definitely seen
Put that
it.
on a slide somewhere.
Sorry, say that again, Sharon?
I said that I'm going to write that down. Do we have that on a slide somewhere?
No, we do not. But you spell, okay. Yeah, Dennis is saying, would I spell the CRM app again? Yes, Dubsado, D as in David, U, B as in Bob, S as in Sam, A, D as in David, O. One of the founders used one of the things that their toddler said in babbling to name the software.
I didn't know that. That's so funny.
Fun fact, yeah.
That's funny. All right, so 2 questions. One, which one of you put appsumo.com on here, and what is it?
We both did.
Okay.
Nayo and I both did.
That's him.
Nayo, go ahead.
So AppSumo is a marketplace for emerging tech and apps. And it usually is a lifetime deal on these apps because what they want is to improve the app. So they get a whole bunch of users going and helping them really make it better. So I have found a number of deals on AppSumo that may not be 100% ready for what I needed to, but a few years down the line, it's amazing. So for example, the calendar system that I'm using is called Book Like a Boss. I bought it as a lifetime deal on AppSumo. I paid a one-time fee, and now it is the thing I use to schedule appointments in my firm. So it's like an amazing opportunity to help this new emerging app develop and grow, and at the same time get a nice discount on software you might have been paying for on a monthly basis.
Yeah.
Now, I will tell you there are hundreds of choices on AppSumo. So you could go overwhelmed, get very overwhelmed. So if you go there, have something in mind that you're looking for, and just know that sometimes the tech doesn't last. You may get a dud. So it's a lifetime fee. So you are taking a chance on a new company. So don't be alarmed if in 3 years you're like, oh, sorry, we're closing our doors.
Yeah, that is true. But also don't forget that on AppSumo, the apps come and go. And I know I missed a deal on one app and then they brought it back a few months later. So keep looking. The other thing is they do have sales from time to time. So they'll have like a Black Friday kind of sale going on. So you save like 30%. I got a really cool thing called PDF Bear on that during a sale, and it cost me like peanuts. You can do all kinds of things with PDFs that, you know, you don't need to have Adobe Acrobat to do. Also, when you buy any app, you have 60 days to try it out. And you get to give it back, and I've done that too. And they give you your money back, no problem.
That's the key feature right there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know what I also want to add to what you guys said is for those of you that are very you know, startup obsessive like I am. I love startups. I love beta. I love being on the ground floor. You can then join into something and again, give them suggestions, help them roadmap to what you want. So you're not having to pay to build an app. Somebody else is doing it, but they're putting in all the ideas you want to develop this perfect software solution for you. And to me, that's super important.
You know,
I
one
don't know.
app that was on AppSumo that is now big time and we talk
What?
about all the time? Zapier.
That was on
Oh.
AppSumo?
Wow, really?
Zapier was on
Wow.
AppSumo.
Oh my God, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Were you there ground up? Were you-
No.
that would have been a cool story.
Oh,
For all
would have been.
where I found
That
you
would have
guys.
been.
Would have been.
User one. So,
Yeah.
all right.
So they
Anybody?
do need to be sponsoring AppSumo, just so you know, or AppSumo should be sponsoring them because in
Oh,
our
I do have an
pre-
affiliate code if anyone.
So-
wants.
okay, so do I, yeah.
That's all they could talk about it. And I went and subscribed and they're like, how'd you hear about us? I'm like, well.
Yeah. Put your code in the chat.
There you
So, all right. Any closing thoughts? I think we covered that one pretty well, just about searching. Actually, one more question that I do have, and I'm going to, whoever wants to answer it, and that is, you talked about find a pain point and address it. I think Nayo said that. Sharon said, well, yes, but I go with the low-hanging fruit first. So this actually might be a Sharon question. So when you do your low-hanging fruit approach, do you sometimes find that, oh, I grabbed that piece of low-hanging fruit and I didn't realize it was going to impact this medium hanging piece of fruit. Now I've got to go back again.
Yeah, I feel like you're going to get that across the board, right? So sometimes you can knock out the no-brainers, but for me, you know, again, it's such a hard thing. Sometimes that's just what happens. You get into something you love, but then you find something that's a very, very good fit. And the thing that you loved isn't going to fit into this, but this, you know, rules your world. So you kind of just have to be flexible and not married to anything. If that makes any sense.
All right. No, it does. Makes a lot of sense. All right. And then I'm going to ask one more question for each of you, or I want to get the response here. If you could do one thing out of all these ways to find out information on apps, You only have one choice. What would you do?
I'll start. I would go on Facebook and join the group called the Workflow Watering Hole that is run by my pal Kelly Parks. That's actually how I found Dubsado. And they talk about all kinds of things, not necessarily stuff that works with QBO or accounting or whatever. And you get real life, real life experience from people that you would want to listen to. The other thing is that Kelly's all about workflows and automations and all that, but she also knows that it can be really overwhelming, just the concept of dipping your toe in the automation or workflow pond. So what she says, and it's great, is she says, just do one thing. Don't be paralyzed by the concept like you're going to have to do all this stuff. Just do one thing today. Okay, and just concentrate on that. And then once you get comfortable with that, then go to the next one. The workflow watering hole. Thanks, Sharon.
Okay. All right, Nayo?
For me, I
Okay.
still love my Google searches. So
Cool.
yeah, I prefer testing versus getting opinions about stuff from other people first. So I will Google whatever it is I'm trying to solve, find the top. Like I like to narrow down to about 5, so I'm not spinning my wheels. And then I'll peruse their website. So I'm looking for certain things, and I know that's one of the questions we're going to get into. But I like to look for certain things, and if it piques my interest, then I'll test it out. After I start testing something, then it's like, okay, this is a viable solution. Then I go to crowdsource. What do you think about this app? Or go to their Facebook groups and see what other people are saying, or see what other issues people are having with it. But because I love the tech piece, when it comes to automations and efficiencies, testing them out is like my jam. So I don't really want to give that to anybody else.
I really would not have thought that you like tech. That's just shocking to me. What about it, Sharon?
I'm a mix of the both. I'm going to phone a friend and then I'm going to check it out on my own. Like we said, there's 15 to 1,000 solutions for every problem we're trying to solve. So I'm probably going to ask my colleagues first, kind of narrow them down. And then as I'm looking at them, I usually like to Google competitor of and see who is kind of like it and kind of go from there. Kind of helps me kind of narrow it down and then spread it across. But I'm the same way. I want to test it out. And sometimes what all of my friends or all my colleagues have said, this is amazing, I'll get it. I'm like, this doesn't work for me at all, because maybe what they're doing is different than what I'm doing.
Okay, great. Thank you. Great feedback. And of course, you also read Insightful Accountant every single day. So for my shameless plug, Esther,
Morning and evening.
Esther, what you just put in the chat okay, you did get it to everybody. Okay, great.
Yeah, I did.
Right.
I accidentally sent it just to us, and I realized, wait, no one else can see it. Yes.
Perfect. All right, so let's roll on to the next slide and the next poll here. And we kind of just talked about it, but let's hear what the audience says. Where do you learn about new apps and integrations? This is you guys, not us. Word of mouth, phone a friend, colleagues, Facebook, social media groups, Insightful Accountant. I threw that in there. Sorry, Esther.
I see that.
I had to. Come on.
Hey,
Just
no
left
shame.
us out. And then webinars like this one. Yeah, it's interesting because one of the things that kind of comes back multiple times over the reader profiles that we've done is people really want to see like an app comparison charts, and we've kind of dipped our toe in it. We need to kind of make a bigger commitment to that. Maybe the 4 of us can put our heads together and work on something. So all right, we're going to go ahead and close this out just in respect of time here. So I will share those results. And we've got 28% go word of mouth, phone a friend or colleague, 17% go to Facebook, social media groups, 24% go to IA, woohoo! And then 31% go to webinars like this one. And we'll give another woohoo for that too, because we're doing this webinar, woohoo, yay. All right, so that's good info. Actually, that's even helpful for us to kind of think about what we should be doing for the profession and for our audience moving forward. So thank you all. All right, let's move on. Resources for finding apps. Where do you find advice and experience? We've just talked about that a little bit or a lot. Anybody want to add anything else to it? LinkedIn, actually, let's talk about LinkedIn. Nobody said anything about LinkedIn, I don't think.
Oh man, do you guys use it for that? I don't know. To me, I forget to post on LinkedIn like last night, and then I'm like, oh, I want to post 7 things, and I post them all in orders so I don't get seen. I am not social media. I'm terrible. So I have nothing there. But I don't go to LinkedIn for anything like that. I feel like it's just like a lot of cool articles of look at me speaking and then like shameless sells. That's me. Anybody else have it?
I've never gone to LinkedIn for that. And I'm wondering if I'm missing out on something.
Me, I'm like, is there a
And by the way, I'm terrible at social too, Sharon.
Okay.
LinkedIn is not for me. I don't go to LinkedIn looking for apps. I will say that LinkedIn had a couple of cool features, even though that is not where my customer lives. So I don't spend much time there. They were like one of the first platforms to have that that live kind of group feature right outside of the metaverse. So I thought it was cool that LinkedIn did bring the live video to their platform, especially for people who are, looking to showcase their expertise. But I can't say that I've ever gone to LinkedIn to look for information on automation. I really don't feel like people share that much about the insides of their practices. They more share the external factors, like we just won this award, or this is our new. So interesting that showed up on the list. But
is that an untapped market that we all need to just like get into? And
although somebody here
first,
Martha says that she posts apps on LinkedIn, so maybe we're missing out on something.
Yeah,
I am gonna go start following Martha.
Martha's awesome. I love her.
Martha needs to accept my request.
Yeah. Now, I'm also I was surprised that colleagues weren't number one. And again, I'm not a practitioner, but that surprises me. I don't know. I figured that would be
colleagues probably were number one when we first started. So I know Heather Satterley, I call her my godmother in my Zapier journey, right? Because she was the person who introduced me to basically automations and how things can talk to each other. So when I first started my practice, it was heavily on the colleague side. But now, after being in business for 10 years and, finding my passion of loving to work with all of these wonderful apps, I now go outside of them because I know some of the accountants are really stuck in this accountant box and they're like, the app needs to be an accountant partner. And I'm like, no, it doesn't. I found some pretty cool things that have absolutely nothing to do with accounting. So
I'm gonna add on top of that. I feel like that's all I do is add on top of your guys' amazing thoughts. We also have to remember that some of us we're very, we're out in the accounting field. We're talking to a lot of people. Back in the day when I had my firm, I didn't really have colleagues. I was so focused on my firm and my team that I maybe knew a few other people that were accounting firm owners, but they were as busy as I was and I didn't have time to ask. So Google, things like that. Social media wasn't really a thing when apps weren't a thing when I started in 2006. So I feel like a lot of this is new, and maybe a lot of our firm owners may have been around for a little bit and they're just like, I've been doing my thing for a while. I just started watching these webinars. So I just go to Google in my free time at night, right? So I know that's what I did back in the day, anyhow. Back in the day being like 2 years ago.
Way back in the day. All right, let's roll on to the next slide. Whoever's driving, I think it's you, Naya, right? So apps we love. So I'm gonna have to put that on you. We already talked about Dubsado, but who set them and why?
Well, I know Naya did Nifty. Naya was a Nifty person.
I love Nifty. So Nifty PM is a project management system. It was a deal I got on AppSumo. And the reason I absolutely love Nifty is because they have a communication piece that is kind of mimicking Slack. So I really don't like that project management and and talking to each other are kind of these two separate things. So I love that they combine those two. So because I can talk to my team right in the project management system, we can talk specifically about client and keep it with the client work. I've even invited my client to a channel. It cut down on the number of emails she was sending me, and she feels like she has access to me when she needs me. So it just doesn't feel as urgent to her now. She's like, you know, it used to be the world's on fire. Like I would get 10 emails in a row. And now she'll just pop a note in the in our project management system, like, hey, I just this quick update. And so I just love that we're able to communicate and keeping it in the same system as our project management. Now,
Yeah.
are there some things I would improve? Absolutely. But in the meantime, it's working pretty darn well. I have the integration with Google Docs. It links to my calendar. So if I wanted to, I can see all the events I got coming up right there on the screen. We can add documents there. They even just added voice notes. So I can send, you know, if I have a long thing I need to send my my assistant, I don't have to physically type it out. I can, you know, speak it into the phone and get it off to her. So I'm not forgetting anything. So Nifty is like one of my favorite new apps. And I'm just raving all about them. And I'll put a link in the chat so you all can see Nifty and tell the people that I sent you there.
There you go.
Yeah, I've never heard of that one. All right, Dubsado, we already talked about that one.
I'll just say this, that Dubsado has an integration with QBO. It also has an integration with Zapier, which we're going to talk about in a couple of bullets. And also one really cool thing about Dubsado is that, kind of like Sharon said, that you figure out what your flow is, what it is you're trying to do. And then I think it was Sharon that said that. And then you try and automate it. Well, with Dubsado, you can write out your steps and say, okay, I'm going to automate this. And you can actually build the automation within Dubsado. It has these workflows that you can create your own that work for you in your practice. So that's why I love it.
Okay, how about Monday.com?
That's me again. Monday.com is also, a lot of what I do is project-based. And so Monday.com is a collaborative project board type thing where I invite this client X to this particular board, and we collaborate on things and we keep track of who's done what, and we can put all kinds of things in there. And there's also automations in there. It does have a Zapier, it has a Zapier integration, and it also has its own automations, and it's also got its own kind of app store, so you can automate all kinds of things. So
hey,
I do love
Esther,
that.
one of my friends is using Monday, and Jeff Wilson, he is building some amazing things from his firm. So I am super impressed with Monday.
There you go. Yeah, some people use ClickUp, which I never really loved, but for whatever reason, maybe it's the way my brain is. But I just love Monday. So yeah, I'd love to hear more about this. Your Jeff guy, if you want to put me in touch with him.
He spoke he spoke in December, didn't he?
He did,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, then how about Zapier? We've talked about it a little bit. Who wants to take a quick shot on Zapier?
It's an app integrator. It takes two or more apps that don't natively talk to each other and makes them talk to each other. So if something happens in app A, it'll make this happen in app B.
Zapier helped me delay hiring for about a year. And I know that sounds crazy, but I was able to take some admin tasks off my plate using Zapier. So it was about a 12-step Zap. Somebody filled out a form, it got added as a customer, added as a to-do list, added to an email list, sent an invoice, and some other cool things after the fact, tags and all that kind of good stuff. So if Zapier is really a bridge that can help if you're a one-man show, it can help you really stop stressing about some of the admin work. It has a little learning curve, and I tell people play with it, right?
Yeah.
That's the only way you're going to learn how to use it. And then Heather Satterley, I keep mentioning her, but she has a nice class where she kind of walks you through how to use Zapier and some automations, but it is a wonderful tool to use. And I know there are a few alternatives. Integromat is another one that will
Pabbly,
will do similar things. Oh, her classes. Well, she will have some. I know I talked to her. So there's
She's probably
something
got some
that's coming
archive
up.
stuff. Yeah.
So, I have a whole bunch of Zaps as well. And one is like a really simple one where somebody pays me, let's say, either by check or more likely through, QuickBooks payments. And I don't even have to touch it. And it sends out a Zap saying, thank you for your payment of such and such for this and this invoice. This is what your balance is. Thank you for your business. And by the way, you wanted to give me a rating on the Find a Pro Advisor site. And there's the link.
Automation at its finest.
Nice.
There you go.
And is it safe to assume that there's a whole bunch of people out there who, like, if we wanted to get into the Zapier usage, that we could call up and go, hey, help me do this?
Heather Satterley, Brian
Yeah.
Clare. Who else am I missing?
Those are the big ones.
Yeah, those are the big ones. There's somebody else that has I can't think of what it is right now. I'm gonna think of it before we.
But what you can do is you can search in Zapier to say, if I'd like to have, these 2 apps or these 3 apps, and it gives you suggestions for Zaps that have already been built. And if
Okay.
somebody has a Zap that they've built, if they're willing to share it with you, they can actually send it to you.
So I'm gonna put the app directory in here because you can see if you have software that you're currently using and you're like, I wonder, can this work with this? You can totally see
Yeah.
before you upgrade. And then they do have a free version and a premium version. So some of the apps will work wonderfully free. Some of them you'll have to pay for. So think about like a QuickBooks Online will be a premium version versus maybe something like Gmail and Google Calendar might be free.
Right.
Okay.
And the
But how-
lingo for that, if anybody ever hears someone, there's a Zap for that. They're speaking
Yeah.
about Zapier. Just,
There we go.
they're not talking about killing a fly.
So this slide could be Zaps we love as well. So what about 1Password?
Oh, I will speak on this.
All right, there you go.
If anybody was at the AWS conference last week, you would see that there were so many sessions on security, especially now that we're talking about tech. And I think the most important thing is really making sure we're secure. We're not storing passwords in Google or whatnot. I've used a couple of other password storing apps. I love 1Password. Maybe it's because I'm a Mac user across the board, like complete Apple, and it's just so friendly. But 1Password has been a godsend. I use it personally. You can have different vaults for each different client. You can assign your team to different vaults. It's just very, very, very secure, a great way to store anything, honestly. Anything that needs to be secure can go in there. It's an app, it's an integration into Chrome, Safari, it's a desktop app. It's all over the place. I have it on my phone, and my favorite part is when you need a password, it like pops up and then it just looks at my face and it's like, here you go. And I'm like, oh, laziness is my friend. So I love 1Password, and it's free personally, or I think it's like $19.95 a month for like up to 10 people on your team, which is amazing.
That is great. Okay, great. Well, we're going to move on to the next slide just so we don't run out of time. And that is the next poll question. If I can find my polls, here we go. There we go. Poll question number 3. We would like to know, what is your, there we go. What is your number 1 concern when choosing an app? Is it security, ease of use, time on the market and availability, integrations with my accounting software? We know that Nayo could care less about time on the market. She could care less about availability as long as she can be number 1 beta user. That's what's most important to her. So, so what's important to you? That's interesting, actually, the way it's trending. You guys can't see this yet, but
The drum roll.
yeah, drum roll. Here we go. We're going to close it out in about 5 seconds. Anyone? You guys want to guess what's going to be number 1?
Ease of use.
Ease of use.
Okay.
Say
well,
integrations.
okay. Well, and the answer is ease of use.
Oh,
I thought security would be more important. So,
Nobody cares
22
about security. Even I care about security. They don't realize that we need to care about security, but ease of use is
Yeah.
always,
Yeah.
is it easy to use? That is
Yeah.
the number 1 question.
Yeah.
yeah. So ease of use, integration, security, and nobody cares how long it's
No
been
one
on the market.
cares.
no one cares.
I love that though. Don't you guys love that?
I
Like,
do.
to me, that's amazing, especially for like these startups. I love startups.
That's really funny. So, All right, do we have another slide behind that one?
Oh,
I
don't know what-
So-
I put it on there.
Oh.
Okay, all right, so we got another, it's another poll question here, kind of along the same lines. But this is more, generally, what is your biggest considerations when it comes to selecting a tech solution for your firm? You're looking for cost, time required for implementation, training required, integrations on the existing tech stack, and other. And if you have an other, just throw it down in the chat. I mean, click other, but then also put it in the chat just so we can see it. And sorry for two very similar questions, but our sponsor wanted us to ask that question. So,
These are good answers.
Yeah.
and
I kind of
so,
love the poll questions the most during these things because we don't get to like talk to the attendees. So it's really great to kind of see if they're on the same.
Oh,
Yeah,
look,
well,
you
it's
know,
good.
I like
Speaking to air.
And
I
other
see
people
this
are
answer
saying,
here, James says support. which is
yes,
one
that's a
of the
big
choices.
one. Yeah.
See, that is not a
That
big
is
one for me.
true. Me either, because that's why we have Google, right? Do you just figure it out? Are you a figure it out kind of person? If I have to chat
Figure
in
it
a
out
call
kind of
someone-
person, but my whole issue is if I need support, then the app probably is trash or it's not that good, right? I try to limit
No
the
ease of
amount of
use.
time I spend with support. But that's just
Yeah.
me, right? So usually that's like last on my list.
Yeah.
all
But
right,
I
so
know
we want
there's
to
some
integrate.
people that really love support. They're like, is the support US based? Can I get them on the phone? I'm like, I don't know. I don't care about that. I'll send a message.
There are a couple of questions that came in the chat. Robin asked, anyone have experience with Client Hub?
I did, yes. Client Hub is pretty nifty. I love the idea behind it in one place with all the links to the apps. The problem for me was implementation. My clients just would not log in. So if
Ah.
you're a
Agree about that.
a young, fresh firm and you don't have a million clients, it will be a wonderful tool to implement from the onset. But my clients were just like, I don't need this. I got bookmarks. They're already saved. So I just couldn't get them to land in it. But I loved it. It's just, I loved it.
What about Miriam asks, anyone use Practice Protect?
I personally don't use it. Practice Protect. I did, however, meet the founder, Jamie, this past week at Accounting Web Live Summit. And I know Heather Satterley. I know a lot of people that use it. Heather Satterley, Andrew Wall. So and they have a IT company specifically for accountants. So I'm looking to work more with him in the near future so I can learn all about it because data security is top of mind for me.
Mhm.
Is
And
it it's a security app? I was thinking they
I
were
think they're like
insurance.
an SSO. So like, a hub for all your remote people to log in, and then you can assign and remove apps and access as you need to.
I got you.
And Penny says it is also evolving.
Yeah, it is.
Sheldon asks, how do you keep the cost of all these apps from totally consuming your business's profits?
I have a budget.
AppSumo.
AppSumo, but I do have a budget for my subscription costs and my AppSumo budget because I know that this is an area that I really love diving in. I divert extra funds there. I may do a webinar or something just to pay for my habit.
No, that's true. I mean, some people they're really dangerous when they go shopping on Amazon. I'm really dangerous when I go shopping on AppSumo. Like really, I
Yeah.
just can't stop myself.
Yeah,
Gotta
I
pay for that
probably-
app habit.
I spent
I like to
$1,000
look at it
last
like-
week on AppSumo, so
Well,
and I got some stuff sitting in my cart right now.
I like to definitely look at it like, if I bring in this app, what am I saving? What am I solving for? So if I get this, what is it gonna do? It's gonna save 3 hours of my time. So how much is that time worth? I can now go get revenue for that 3 hours of time, and it's gonna totally offset the price of this. If I can't find a offset in my savings of time, then I probably don't need it. That's how I kind of look at it. I net it out, right?
Yeah, and I think,
My cost of goods.
sure. And then what Nayo said earlier on in the conversation was, she leveraged Zapier to prevent from having to hire someone.
So did I. Yeah.
For a year, right? And, what did Zapier cost you for a year?
Probably like $100, $200 for the year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
versus employee.
Yeah.
Even a remote virtual assistant. I mean, it's still, it's a no-brainer, right?
Can
So-
one more comment. Heidi is saying, is anyone using Agile? I keep looking at it on AppSumo. Not me. I don't know.
Actually, I bought this one. I haven't installed it yet. So
Oh.
check with me in about 2 months. I'll keep you
We're
posted.
gonna watch your LinkedIn for that update. I'm gonna want to see some more.
Oh yeah, we're gonna
updates
start a
from
new
you.
thing. Apps we're using on
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn.
You can
Hashtag.
totally, I would watch your podcast. If you did a podcast reviewing new apps you started using on AppSumo, I will be your first subscriber, I promise you.
I'd be the second.
There you go. Look, there's already two
The
of us.
topic for my podcast.
I'll jump in. We'll make
There
it
we
a 3. I'm
go.
in.
3 pennies in. Look at, there's already an audience.
How about that?
I heard Insightful Accountant wants to sponsor it. We're set.
Yeah, no, better yet,
Oh.
we'll find someone to sponsor it. So
There you go.
yeah. So all right. So we talked about a lot of different things. We do actually. Let's go ahead and throw this sponsor question up, and it's do you want to hear from our sponsor? Why am I looking up there? It's down here. And don't leave yet because you still have not hit your 50 minutes yet. So hang out with us.
And don't leave yet. I
yet.
know you want to
Yeah.
keep looking at these beautiful faces here.
Of course. And plus we have a couple other things. I do want to kind of wrap this up because we do have another session at noon that I've got to dive into. We talked about where you search, how you find it, phone a friend, or am I going on apps.com? Am I going on Google? Or am I just going to follow Nayo and do everything she does? Are we, what are the resources at our hands? One thing that I like the most that one of you said, and that was call the app developer, right? I mean, they've, maybe you can't call Intuit support, but the other app developers, right? They've got people and they want your feedback, especially if it's a market specific or accounting profession specific tool. I mean, they pay a lot of money for advisory panels, for boards, for beta testers to get out and try to make sure they build the right product. Because a lot of times they're brilliant software people, but they don't know boo about accounting, right? And that's why you guys are so important. Recommendations, we threw out some good recommendations. I'm sure that all 3 of these ladies have a whole list of recommendations for each areas of your practice. We're covering it constantly on Insightful Accountant. Hopefully we can get some more content out of 2 of my 3 panelists here. Not you, Esther, you're already providing, but Nayo and Sharon. And then one thing I did want to talk about, and that's a question for each of you, short answer. What do you feel like the current uptake is in the profession of a tech stack? Like when you're out talking to people, how many, did I already ask that? I can't remember.
Nope, you did.
Okay. All right. So how many, what's the percentage you think of people that are focused and dedicated on building out a tech stack for their firm?
I'll say 95% of the accounting population. There's
Wow.
still this 5% that's holding on to the old ways of the old school. And I don't know why the pandemic should have shown them that automation is the future. But still, in talking to a lot of people, they're part of the problem is just that they're overwhelmed and it's like, oh, it's so much tech. I don't know what to implement first.
Yeah,
So,
just do one thing.
Just
Yeah,
one
one
thing. I say write out the process and then work in the tech. Don't start with the tech and then work in the process. So start with the process. Build in
I'm
the
going
tech.
way lower. I'm going 60 to 65. I think there are a lot of people still stuck in the old process that are just maybe thinking about tech because it's a key word. Seeing it a lot. But maybe those are the people that I talk to more.
That's what I was going to ask. I was going to go to Esther. What do you think?
I actually agree with Sharon that I think it's lower than what Nayo said because we tend to see only the people on the leading edge. The people that we deal with, the accounting professionals we deal with, a lot of them are in the same space we are, that we're always looking for the latest, greatest, newest thing. And we forget that there are people out there, maybe it's a function of age, I don't know, but there are people out there, quite a bunch of them that haven't yet jumped on the bandwagon because it's just easy to stick with inertia.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was you mentioned age, and I was wondering that too. If there's like Nayo, you're cloud first, right? You started your business cloud-based, I would imagine. Am I wrong?
Nope, you are wrong.
Okay.
This right here, I started on ledger paper. QuickBooks Desktop, I remember when it was born. I learned on it. QuickBooks Online was like, what is this thing, right? So I've been through all the phases. But the next generation of accountant are millennials and Gen Z, and they are doing everything but that mobile phone. So
Yeah.
if your app, if your tech can't work on mobile, it's gonna be dead in the water, because a lot of them they don't own printers, they don't own scanners.
Right.
So you want them to sit at a desk? They're like, heck no. I bought an RV. We're traveling the country. So
Dan, one of our pro advisor winners last year, Dan Witt is his thing, but he did that, right? He was gone for like a year and a half, I think. All right. Well, thank you so much, all three of you, for your time and your wisdom and your knowledge. A lot of information thrown in the chat. And remember, we will be sending out the CPE certificate within, I'm going to give myself 72 hours, but hopefully it'll be out sooner than that. But if you don't hear from us in 4 days, give us a shout. Thank you all again. Thanks everybody for attending. We've got another session kicking off in about 6 minutes that I've got to bounce to. So I look forward to seeing you all in the next session.
Bye,
Thank you.
everyone.
And thanks to our
Bye.
sponsor, Dext.